Have you ever watched a grown man throw a tantrum over a delayed pizza? Or refuse to do laundry until his partner begs? Maybe you've seen him scroll through his phone while someone else packs his lunch, or crack a joke to dodge a serious conversation again. We've all met him. Sometimes he's our brother, our coworker, our partner, or if we're honest, parts of ourselves we haven't fully faced. Society calls him a man-child. The term drips with judgment, implying laziness, entitlement, or immaturity. But what if there's more beneath the surface? What if this isn't about refusing to grow up, but about never having been taught how? Psychologists don't use the phrase man-child in clinical settings, but they do recognize the pattern: emotional development that stalls in adolescence. While the body, the job title, and the driver's license keep aging, this often ties back to something deeper: attachment wounds that taught him vulnerability equals danger, performance anxiety masked as playfulness, or a nervous system that learned early on feelings are unsafe. If you've ever felt confused by this behavior, exhausted by someone who won't step up, or caught yourself avoiding adult responsibilities while pretending it's just your personality, you're not broken. You're not alone. This channel is a safe space for those learning to see themselves and others more clearly, not through shame but through understanding. Because sometimes the most childish actions come from the deepest unmet needs, and healing begins not with criticism, but with curiosity. Imagine a little boy, maybe 6 or 7, crying after falling off his bike. His knee is scraped, his pride is bruised. He runs to his dad, eyes wide with tears, hoping for a hug, or at least a kind word. But instead his father says, "Big boys don't cry. Shake it off. You're fine." And just like that, the message lands. Your pain is inconvenient. Your feelings are too much. Your need for comfort is weakness. Now imagine another boy, older, maybe 10, watching his parents argue behind closed doors. He hears shouting, then silence, then the sound of someone crying alone. No one talks about it the next day. No one says, "That was scary, wasn't it?" No one asks how he's feeling. So he learns to disappear into video games, or jokes, or silence. Not because he's lazy, not because he doesn't care, but because in his world, emotional honesty didn't lead to safety. It led to more chaos, or worse, more loneliness. This wasn't immaturity. This was adaptation. Psychologists like John Bowlby, father of attachment theory, showed us that children don't just need food and shelter. They need emotional co-regulation. They need someone to say, "It's okay to feel this. I'm here with you." Without that, the nervous system stays on high alert. It learns to avoid feelings before they even fully form. And over time, that avoidance becomes a habit, then a personality, then a life pattern. Dan Siegel, a leading voice in interpersonal neurobiology, puts it this way: the mind develops in relationship. If no one ever helped you name your sadness, or sit with your fear, or repair after a rupture, then how would you ever learn to do it as an adult? And let's be clear, this isn't about blaming parents. Many caregivers were doing their best with what they had. Maybe they were raised in households where emotions were weapons, or ignored entirely. Maybe they were working 3 jobs just to keep the lights on. Maybe they too never learned how to be emotionally present. This is about intergenerational survival. In a world where love felt conditional on being easy, fun, or not a burden, performance became currency, detachment became armor, and emotional growth got quietly put on hold. So when we see a grown man who can't manage his schedule, who melts down over small frustrations, who expects others to handle the emotional or logistical weight of his life, we're not seeing a lazy adult. We're seeing a child who never got the chance to finish growing up, not because he refused to, but because no one ever showed him the way. Fast forward to adulthood. That little boy is now a man with a job, maybe a relationship, perhaps even kids of his own. But inside, something feels stuck. At home, he might leave dishes in the sink for days. Not out of malice, but because doing them feels overwhelming. Or beneath him, or like a chore only nags care about. When his partner brings it up, he jokes, "I'm just messy," but what he's really saying without knowing it: "If I admit this is a problem, I'll have to face how helpless I feel." At work, he might avoid difficult conversations, miss deadlines, blame tech issues, traffic, or bad luck when things go wrong. He's not trying to be irresponsible. He's trying to protect himself from the shame of failing. In relationships, he might charm you at first. Funny, spontaneous, full of energy. But over time, you notice he never asks how your day was unless it affects him. He disappears emotionally during conflict. He expects you to plan dates, remember birthdays, manage the calendar, while he floats through life like a guest in his own story. And here's the painful paradox. His intent isn't to hurt anyone. He genuinely believes he's just being himself. But the impact? His partner feels like a single parent in a two-person relationship. His friends stop asking for real help because he's never truly there. His co-workers pick up his slack until they burn out and leave. What looks like confidence or carefree charm is often a carefully constructed wall. Behind it, anxiety, self-doubt, a deep fear that if people saw his real struggles, they'd walk away. And the cost? It's not just the laundry or the forgotten anniversaries. It's the loneliness that grows in the space between performance and presence. It's the exhaustion of always playing a role instead of simply being. He may think he's avoiding responsibility, but what he's really avoiding is vulnerability, and that avoidance doesn't just stall his growth. It quietly erodes the trust and intimacy he secretly craves. Because deep down, he's not asking to be coddled. He's asking without words to finally be seen. Not as the fun guy or the messy one, but as someone worthy of love, even when he's not perfect. Now let's widen the lens, because this pattern doesn't happen in a vacuum. Our culture doesn't just tolerate the man-child. In many ways, it rewards him. Think about the movies we laugh at. The lovable slacker who lives in his mom's basement. The grown man who throws a fit when his fantasy football team loses. The bromance, where emotional depth is replaced with fart jokes and beer. These stories tell us it's cute when men refuse to grow up. It's funny when they can't fold laundry. It's charming when they need a woman to tame them. But behind the humor lies a dangerous message. That maturity is boring. That responsibility is for suckers. That real men don't do emotional labor, they delegate it. And the workplace often reinforces this. A man who speaks over others might be called assertive. A woman doing the same, aggressive. A man who avoids accountability might be laid back. But if a woman misses a deadline, she's unprofessional. Meanwhile, social media amplifies performance over presence. Online, it's easier to post a meme about hating nagging girlfriends than to sit with the discomfort of your own avoidance. It's safer to flex your alpha persona in a comment thread than to admit you're scared of failing as a partner or parent. We've also inherited mixed messages about masculinity itself. On one hand, be strong, don't cry, handle it yourself. On the other, you deserve to be taken care of. Your comfort matters most. So many men are caught in the middle, told they must be stoic, yet never taught how to process emotion. Told they must lead, yet never shown how to collaborate. And let's not forget the quiet expectation placed on women to be the emotional janitors of relationships, cleaning up unspoken hurts, managing moods, smoothing over ruptures, all while being told, why can't you just be more fun? But here's the truth we need to reclaim. There's a world of difference between staying playful and refusing to show up, between honoring your need for rest and outsourcing your adult life onto someone else, between saying, I'm still learning, and saying, this is just who I am. Deal with it. We all want to be seen, but not every strategy for being seen actually connects us to others. Some just keep us safe in a bubble of performance, while real intimacy waits just outside the door. And the good news? Culture can change, relationships can reset, patterns can be rewired. But first, we have to stop mistaking avoidance for authenticity. and start honoring maturity as its own kind of courage. So what now? If you recognize this pattern in yourself, maybe you've been called immature more than once, or you notice you shut down when things get serious, or you rely on humor to dodge hard conversations. Please hear this. You don't need to be fixed. You need to be understood. Start small. Next time you feel the urge to deflect with a joke, pause. Take one breath. Ask yourself gently, what am I avoiding feeling right now? Or when a chore feels too big, laundry, bills, a difficult text. Don't wait for someone else to do it. Just do one piece of it. Not to be perfect, but to prove to yourself, I can handle this. Ask for help, but not as a way to pass the buck. Say, I'm learning how to do this. Can you walk me through it once? That's not weakness, that's willingness. And if this pattern lives in someone you care about, a partner, a friend, a family member, remember, you are not their therapist. You are not their parent. You are not responsible for their emotional growth. But you can respond with clarity and kindness. Instead of saying, why can't you ever clean up? Try, I feel overwhelmed when I'm managing everything alone. Can we talk about how to share this? When they melt down over a small frustration, you don't have to absorb their storm. A calm, steady response like, I see you're upset. I'm here when you're ready to talk calmly. Sets a boundary without shame. And if they deflect with humor, you can say gently, I know you're joking, but this matters to me. Can we stay with it for a minute? Protect your energy. You can honor their pain without becoming their emotional repair kit. And remember, clarity is kinder than avoidance. Boundaries are not punishment, they're respect. You don't need to change them. You just need to understand enough to choose your response. Not from fear, but from your own grounded center. Because healing isn't about forcing someone to grow up. It's about creating space where growth feels safe. For them. And for you. Remember that man from the beginning? The one waiting for someone else to pick up his socks. Or cracking jokes while his partner carries the weight of their shared life. He's not lazy. He's not evil. He's lost. And the truth is, none of us were handed a manual for emotional adulthood. We all had to learn it, piece by piece, often through trial, error, and heartbreak. But you deserve relationships where adulthood isn't a burden, but a shared rhythm, where you're not managing someone else's avoidance, but walking side by side with someone who shows up. Messy, imperfect, but willing. Maturity isn't the death of play, it's the birth of presence. It's knowing you can feel fear and still act with care. It's understanding that love isn't about being perfect. It's about being accountable. And you're calm. It's not indifference. It's your compass. Even in someone else's chaos, you get to stay grounded. You get to choose peace. Not every storm needs your umbrella. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do is stay dry. If this helped you see something in yourself, in someone you love, in a new light, you belong here. Hit subscribe. And remember, growing up isn't about losing your light. It's about learning to carry it without burning others.